Warning. Listening to this show may result in increased levels of inspiration, motivation, and innovation. Side effects can include the immediate urge to take massive action to build a better business and life for yourself and others. You've been warned. Welcome to Influencers Radio with your host, Jack Mize.
And welcome back to another episode of Influencers Radio. You know, confidence. I don't think there's any debate. Confidence breeds success, and in turn, success breeds confidence. It's kind of like which came first, the chicken or the egg? Well, confidence can be one of the most important characteristics a person can have for advancing in careers, personal relationships, or just about anything you want to excel at in life. But for a lot of people, it's also one of the most difficult things to develop. Well, today, my guest is Khalia. She is an agency-represented lifestyle model who understands how vital confidence is in how you show up in the world. As the former owner of a modeling and talent agency who has been in the fashion industry for over 20 years, she has trained models in the art of being poised and confident. Well, today she is helping everyday people from adolescents to women entering that next stage of life to be poised and confident in any situation. Khalia, welcome to Influencers Radio.
Hi, Jack. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, I'm glad you're here because I think you've really found filling in a gap that a bridge that a lot of people have when they are developing confidence, trying to put themselves out there in the world, and sometimes it's difficult when you're not a model. So that's the first thing I want to get into is the notion that, of course it's easy to be poised and confident when you're a supermodel. But, how can average people compensate, for not looking like $1 million when they roll out of bed to be able to develop that?
Absolutely. I'm glad you asked that question. As women and as adolescents and youth, we often are concerned about looking like $1 million, right? But what I've grown to realize is that it goes deeper than that. It's an inner working of just knowing who you are, being yourself, and just being bold and being able to show up knowing your strengths. And all of those things exude confidence. And over time, it helps develop who you are and how you show up in the world.
Well, yeah, I think that's important. I think maybe even you can dispel maybe the myths or misconceptions around that. Because, when you watch TV, movies, I'm sure people look into their social media and you see these people that, they seem to roll out of bed, and even their messed up bed head looks just perfectly, controlled, and somehow they're able to take one sip of coffee and be ready to take on the world. So, is that a special model potion that is kept secret from all of us, or is that just one of the myths of the social media and TV?
Yes, I love that question, Jack. It is absolutely a myth. There is no super potion or superpower. Those effortless bedhead shots probably took about 30 takes before the right one gets posted and filtered. But no, I think it's really just about knowing your strengths and knowing how you want to show up in the world and being unapologetic, about that. Which over time builds your outer confidence, because it does. It starts inward.
And I think a lot of people, if they said, really thought about this for a few minutes, they'd recognize that. And I want to talk about how, being a lifestyle model, and I know you represent lifestyle models, and that's not necessarily, I guess, what people think of as that that classic supermodels, because you're a mother of three, I believe, right?
That's right. That's right. They are 9, 7, and 5.
And I'm sure they're perfectly behaved, just like you see when the lady rolls out of bed on TV and they're all lined up to get in the minivan and ready to go, right?
Absolutely. Never any crazy, hectic mornings. Everyone just does exactly what they're supposed to do every morning. No carpool drama. None of that.
All right. So you do have that secret potion.
I do. But I would say to your question, I think that it really is important, and especially as the industry is changing, we show more of the reality, even with models. And I'm seeing more and more of them come out with the behind the scenes, if you will. And so everything's not always polished and everything's not always perfect, but showing others those relatable sides of ourselves is what makes a lifestyle model, is what makes someone say, okay, I get that. I can understand that, that woman, that man is someone I can connect with.
Yeah. And I think that really is where it gets to the root of it. And I think what you're doing, especially with adolescents and people that are so overexposed to social media and these ideals of what beauty and confidence is, and just your philosophy of focusing on that inner confidence, that when you focus and work on that inner confidence, it kind of compensates or overcomes any that external, maybe the lack of confidence that people have. And I think we all know that person that maybe not be the traditional beauty, or that traditional chiseled jaw guy that we think of, but somehow the confidence that they have magically transform what we think of in that physical look. So let's get into that. What is the essence of when you're talking about poise and that inner confidence?
Absolutely. And I'm glad you asked that, because I've worked with models who have been textbook beautiful, right? Take the most amazing photos, have legs for days, as they say, but can't hold a conversation when they're not working. And it's been the opposite, where I've worked with someone who may be considered an average, everyday person, and they may not take the best photos, but their confidence is through the roof. And so I believe it comes down to their poise, as you mentioned, and also their presence. How are they entering a room? Are they owning the space that they are occupying? Are they, stylish, or, even to a point where some of them aren't very stylish, but just they hold their head high, they make eye contact, and, a winning smile is always the cherry on top. So I think those are key strengths in one's overall confidence.
So, and I know you work with people, goes beyond obviously in the the fashion industry and modeling and that type of thing, but you've been able to take this and apply it to things like just people careers, job interviews, people that may be getting back out in the dating world after a separation or divorce, or like I mentioned at the top of the show, women that are entering that next stage of life. Can you kind of go into that and how this applies and the types of people that you work with to apply this to?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I read a study once, Jack, that said the link between confidence and happiness is about 47%. And that shows the statistical side of what counts, right? And I know we talk about all the different things that quote unquote make us happy, but ultimately, I believe it's the people that you are connecting with, the people that you are, you know, doing everyday life with. What are the things that truly make you happy? And does that exude out of you? Is it a career, that you're passionate about? Or are you just showing up to work, punching a clock, and you're not too thrilled about being there? And I've been on both sides of the fence. So I know what that feels like, right? Or even just getting back to the basics within yourself. What are some of the things I love to ask my clients? What are some of the things that truly make you feel good to your core? Is it running? Is it painting? Is it, sitting down and in a nice sunny spot in your house and reading a good book? And those things that, start to build your happiness then shows up in how you show up in the world and in your confidence as you go out on those dates or go out for the job interview. So it really goes back to how are you taking care of you and what are you doing in life basically that will show up on the outside? What is the inner work that you're doing that will show up to the world around you?
And I know that there's some people that are listening to this right now that may be confusing or maybe getting mixed up somehow the definition of confidence with arrogance, because that's the one thing that I think a lot of people don't want to do is to show up as arrogant or self-centered. What do you see as that difference and where are you crossing over from making it, that effort to be confident to being arrogant?
I love that question. I've traveled all around the world and I've seen one, maybe two things that has been the deciding, the differentiator, if you will, between that arrogance and that poise or that confidence. And it's approachability and relatability. And those two factors, Jack, really transform how someone interacts when they enter a room. It transforms how someone, maybe their gracefulness, they don't show up with their nose in the air. They're not unapproachable. But they show up because they want to be present. And they show up and they're ready to interact with the world around them. Whatever that looks like, they're ready to play a part in it. And again, it could be, the most beautiful person in the world, or it could be someone you might just overlook. But having those abilities to be approachable and relatable, it changes everything. It's a game changer for sure.
Yeah. So it's almost, I guess to me that ingredient is maybe a drop of humility, where that fits in there. That maybe makes a big difference between that arrogance and confidence. I guess arrogance, it seems like you're more concerned with yourself or elevating yourself, whereas confidence is your ability to help others with what you're able to do.
Yeah.
And I think that would probably make a big difference.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think being a part of what's happening and not just watching what's happening, people want to know that you're a part of what's going on and that you're, especially like as a model, when you show up to different places, it's one thing to kind of have that arrogance, like I'm untouchable. But when you start to interact with the crowd as much as you can, or you have a conversation or you share a smile, it instantly just drops down all of those barriers. And I mean, that's just where we are in the world. People want relatability. So I think it really is a game changer, Jack.
Well, I'll tell you, there's a lot of people that think that you're a game changer. And I think that you're kind of a walking myth buster, because, one of the things is you haven't developed this just from being around pretty people for 20 years. I think one of the things that people maybe is surprised at when we're talking models that you also have a master's degree in counseling,
True.
which I think probably may surprise some people, but I'm sure that it comes in handy when you're working with people and kind of working through these things that maybe be preventing them from in confidence. And I know that you also work with, from the fashion industry, so looks are a big deal. So I want to kind of get into that, because I know I've seen people that, especially if you go to weddings or maybe certain events that people are dressed up in, you see people that are dressed up in clothes that are absolutely $1,000, $2,000 dresses and suits, but they just don't look comfortable in that. And that's another thing when you see on TV, these people just look like, they wear these things like their pajamas, right? But for a lot of people, it just doesn't look comfort. So how big of a role does comfort play in that confidence, and how do you balance that comfort with the style that kind of accentuates that confidence?
Oh, that's such a great question. And yes, I've definitely been in environments where you're like, oh, that person is so uncomfortable, it's making me cringe. But I think that one, you have to know your body type and what works for you. And if I always tell this even to, good girlfriends of mine and even my own children, if you're uncomfortable in the house before you leave the house, you're going to be even more uncomfortable when you get to where you're going. So if you're already tugging at it, or you have to look at it in the mirror from 8 different angles, it's probably a no. And so I think just knowing, and there's tons of literature on that. I can, definitely help. I love helping people understand their body type and colors and palettes and textures and what works for you, because all of those things go into how you're going to show up in the world. If you're not comfortable before you leave the house, you won't be comfortable when you get to your destination.
Well, yeah, and I think that's where a lot of people just make that mistake that, I'll just wear what they're wearing. I'll put on what the mannequin has. And that will work. And so I think that your background in counseling and kind of understanding how the mind works, because you're not just telling people, here, wear this, don't wear that you do a lot of focusing on developing that self-image and also mindset, right? As people think about that, because I think for a lot of people, it's that's a tough one to work through, and I don't know if there's a better word for this, but ego. A lot of people do things to their ego, and the one thing that your ego doesn't care if you are healthy and fit. Your ego cares that if other people think you're healthy and fit. It's why people buy clothes that make them look thinner rather than doing a setup, right?
Right.
So what do you do as far as mindset to kind of work through that, to allow people to let that inner beauty and inner confidence shine through? So it's not so much, well, I'll just buy this because it'll make me look like I'm healthier, rather than actually spending time to focus on being healthier.
Yeah. It takes the right person with the right, it takes the desire to want that. You mentioned the word work, and that's what it is. And too many times, we're taught to just put a Band-Aid over things, or take a shortcut. I mean, we are in a very I want it yesterday type of society. Everything's microwaved really quick. But it takes time. It takes really taking time with yourself and figuring out what's affirming for you, the individual, not what the world says, but what you say, and just being very vulnerable about your own truth. And I've had to do that personally, and I've coached clients through that. What does your authentic self say? What is it at your core that represents who you are, and how do you want to um, make that known to those around you? And it does. It takes time. It takes work. And creating a healthy self-image and a healthy mindset, it doesn't happen overnight, but it's a daily effort that allows you to then become your most authentic self. And I just think that really does help when you're looking to have that confidence, that magnetic confidence, that just, you're not even trying and you show up confident. That's a whole nother level, if you will. And so I do agree with what you said. It is work, and it's not impossible, and it's definitely worth it at the end of the day.
You mentioned something there, just makes me think of the cruel irony of life, that how difficult it is for someone to be authentic, which seems like it should be the easiest thing in the world.
Yeah.
But it's not. And I guess a lot of that comes down to mindset. So do you have any tips or exercises that you could share that could help someone to maybe get through those obstacles?
I love that question. I do. I actually have a coaching program for models and talent, but I also work with women and adolescents with my magnetic confidence program. And two of the top things is really getting alone with yourself and writing things down that matter to you is one. And I'll share a bonus, if you will. The second thing, and it takes a little bit of work, but it's learning and understanding the self-care wheel and how it applies to your life. And that is something that I actually work with my clients and helping them develop or even hit the reset button when they're looking to develop I guess, a healthier self-image or reinvent themselves for a new stage of life that they're entering.
Yeah, and I think that's so important. And just to the point I brought up earlier, the fact that you're helping people not just to look beautiful and confident, but to actually be, beautiful and confident for themselves, and that's such a huge difference
Yeah.
that can be made. And that you certainly have a passion for this that goes beyond just helping people to look pretty. And so I mean, just the fact that you put in the work and what it takes to to earn a master's degree in counseling. So what is it that fuels that passion? What is it that led you to do what you do and to go to this extent and for helping people?
Uh, I think for me, Jack, it was understanding the importance of a person's whole wellness, not just their career success, not just, a fly by night, make $1 million and now I can travel the world type of mindset. But how are you? I say this often, how are you really? Not just how are you, but how are you really? Right. And so in my 20s, I could recall being backstage at runway shows and just seeing models fall apart, having anxiety attacks and just the complete nervousness before they hit the runway. And I would often be coaching them without the degree on breathing techniques and helping them recenter themselves before we even went to the stage to do whatever, to walk the runway or the photo shoot, whatever the case may be. And so I learned really quickly that my passion was not only just someone's self-image and how they showed up, but how were they handling their overall health and how was their mindset? And it led me to getting my master's in counseling because I just saw it time and time again in the fashion industry where the perception of perfect really wasn't the case. And, I wanted to help do something about that, specifically with the models, the talent, those in entertainment who needed someone to talk to and could understand what they were going through.
Yeah, well, it's certainly that passion, shines through, and you're certainly what I consider an educator and an advocate for the success of the people that you're helping. So, what does it look like to work with you? You mentioned the magnetic confidence. Is that something that do you work with people? Is it in groups or one-on-one? It's virtual. How does that work?
All of the above.
Okay.
All of the above. So, we're coming out of a lot of, states are coming out of the whole isolation. So we're doing more in person, which is great. But I also have clients who are in North Carolina and California. So definitely being available via Zoom is also an option. Usually it's about a 8-week session. And we just go through different work ethics that will help build that confidence. And then also some image and wardrobe consulting at the same time. So I have fun with my clients. We do, again, the inner work. And then we also get to play dress up and learn about poses and photos and all that good stuff.
Well, it certainly makes a big difference in a lot of people. And that's the one thing I wanted to really get through with this conversation, that it goes far beyond kind of the, I guess what some would say superficial of, how to look pretty, how to put on makeup, it just goes so much deeper. And I think that, when they say that, beauty, it's not just skin deep, that you really go past that. And it's, like I say, just a tremendous life changer for a lot of people. So how can people find out more about Khalia and get involved with what you're doing?
So the primary way probably at this point is Instagram. I thoroughly enjoy Instagram. My handle is I am Khalia Monique, and IG is probably the best way to reach me. My email address is also connected to my IG.
All right. Well, perfect. Well, we'll definitely put links to that right here on the show post.
Awesome.
Khalia, I have to thank you so much for coming on and sharing this, because what you're doing is not only unique but so important, especially with the work that you're doing with adolescents. It just definitely, I think, just sets people in the right direction in life, especially when they are a little bit confused about the realities versus what they're seeing a lot of online. So thank you for the work you're doing, and thank you for coming on and sharing this.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jack.
All right, folks, there you have it. Definitely check out Khalia, and if it's something that you've been thinking about going beyond just trying to look good for that outer impression, Khalia has certainly just really made it her work, and it's her passion to help people to show up beautifully and confidently to the world, but also to themselves. So until next time on Influencers Radio, remember, you are the only real game changer.
You've been listening to Influencers Radio. To get all past shows and updates on future shows, visit influencersradio.com today.